Unrivaled has announced that they not only have an insanely large valuation, but they're expanding 2 extra clubs this season. And while this is only the second season of Unrivaled, I think it is such an interesting case study to the explosion of women's sports, as well as what happens when you actually treat women's sports the right way from the beginning. If you're not familiar with Unrivaled, it is a 3-on-3 women's basketball league that just started last year, and the league takes place during the off-season for the WNBA. It's player-founded by 2 WNBA stars, Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier, and one of the really big intentions with this league was to fill the gap that the WNBA has always had. During the offseason, we have always seen players have to go overseas in order to make up the gap of their wages, and often be paid significantly more to play in other leagues than they are at home. Unrivaled offered the opportunity to not only fill in that wage gap, but not have to leave the States. In season 1, we had a total of 6 clubs, and this season we're not only adding 2 more clubs, we're also adding something really interesting called a player development pool. This means that we're adding a total of 18 roster spots to the league, bringing the total number of players in this season to 53. Now, what's important to understand is that last season, the players not only had a higher average salary than the league maximum in the WNBA, but they also received ownership in the league. This time around, we'll continue to see the very high wages comparatively, and one example of this is Paige Bueckers. In her first season with Unrivaled, she will actually make more than the entirety of her rookie contract in the WNBA. But what I think is the most interesting about this whole thing is the addition of this player development pool. While there will only be 6 players in it, it gives those players an opportunity to not only make the same 6-figure salary that the players who are on actual teams will, it also gives space for younger players with less experience to continue being developed during the offseason. And I think it's actually a really interesting point because it's something that the WNBA doesn't do right now. One of the biggest complaints we've seen with the WNBA is the small rosters. And the WNBA doesn't have a minor league like the NBA does with the G League, and they use male practice squads, meaning that if a player doesn't make it onto a WNBA roster, there's no real way for them to continue being involved with the team or developed until an injury might require a team to sign that player back to the team. I think what Unrivaled's doing is not only making things better financially, but also finding ways to continue growing the game like this. And it makes sense because Unrivaled is expanding this quickly, a year ahead of schedule, because viewership was higher than expected, and because they officially came out with a valuation of $340 million. So investing in women's basketball in this way is showing across the board that if you start from a place of trying to take care of your players, if you start from a place of including them and growing the league, you're going to see success from that. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how fast Unrivaled grows, because it's fun basketball, it's flashy, and it's better for the players overall. So as we see Unrivaled continue to grow, the question will be not only what effect it has on the WNBA as a whole, but also in the creation of other women's sports leagues that we're starting to see. Athlos, which is a women's track and field meet, has already expanded this year for their 2nd season. And with that $340 million valuation, it'll be interesting to see how many other people try to follow suit. So if you're a fan of Unrivaled, what do you think about this expansion? And do you think this growth will continue to be as exponential as it has been?